Today we are modifying a set of truck lights. I don't get to get my hands on a set of truck lights very often because I can't do any paint work and most trucks want paint match. But this set is gonna get a full RGB setup across the entire set of lights. And the coolest thing is that these already have infinity mirrors built into them. So we get to modify them with some RGB. So the RGB will be the infinity mirror part of the tail light, as well as these right here we're gonna light up. These are specifically designed for a Ram truck, but I have seen this exact style for the Chevys and the F-150s as well. Since I had never opened this style before, I went ahead and did the other side off camera so that I would know what I was actually talking about. This set is perma-sealed because everything is perma-sealed. So we will have to do some cutting, but thankfully the natural mold line is in a good spot. You can't see it from the front. So the cut on these is actually pretty simple. Of course, we are gonna use the ultrasonic cutter to get these things open. Okay, the tail light is open. These do take a while to finally cut open, but this is kind of how they have this whole thing laid out. The LEDs are in this black box back here. Then it's sandwiched in between two mirrors. The outer ring, the outer diffuser ring there is in place so that you have really nice bright brake lights and tail lights, and then you just get the nice effect in the middle. And of course, this over here is like the side marker lights, the parking lights. The way that they did this was have LEDs firing directly into the diffusers, which is exactly how we are going to set up our RGB LEDs. We're gonna do it just like this. This panel right here, this little piece does need to be modified a little bit. So we're gonna go ahead and take it out. Okay, so we've got that strip installed right there. So now we can pop it back in place and of course test it. Okay, had to redo that a couple of times, but here we go. Got the strips installed. Now what I have done to make this look a lot better is install this white piece of plastic to reflect the LEDs back onto the diffusers. So this is with, that's without. So you can tell, it just looks a ton better. Okay, this is what we made for the other side, and this is where we're starting. So what I'm gonna do is just trace it and then cut out what we need to cut out. There we go, we got this one cut out. So now we can put this back into the taillight and then we'll move on to the actual mirror part. Got the diffuser piece installed where it needs to be, so now we can actually move on to the reflective mirrors here. Now in full transparency, I did already do this LED strip because it was giving me issues, so I went ahead and did that. And I can show you how I did it on this one. So the first thing that you'll have to do when working on this is remove this inner black piece. It's just held in with 4 tabs. There's 2 on this side, 2 on that side, and then it comes out. This is the two-way mirror, and it's actually gold, which I thought was interesting, but as you can see, it's actually see-through. They have a very small real mirror on the inside, and behind all of the plastic diffusers are the LEDs right through here, which is great because that means we can save these LEDs and still have a very bright brake light because the RGB are not going to be bright enough, especially trying to reflect through this mirror. The only LEDs that I could find that would actually work in this application are these very small COB RGB addressable LEDs. They are really cool looking whenever they are on and fully installed, but they fail all the time during installation. Once you get them in there, they last quite a while, but they do not like being manhandled. Now, of course, we need to get these wires in through the diffuser and the mirror piece. So what we did was cut the plastic right there in order to get the wires into the LEDs. Same with back here. They're gonna go through here, and then we're gonna wrap the LEDs around just like that. I'm gonna show you how I put the LEDs in place. So obviously I already soldered them on there, but what I did was I get it sitting super flush against the actual mirror itself. And then using the double-sided tape that it comes with, I go ahead and stick it all along the walls, all the way around. Now, one annoying thing is that the very last little section of this strip did start to fail. So I'm gonna have to cut out another one and solder it to it just to finish it off. And as you can see, that one strip that we put in still didn't work. That means there's a dead LED at the end of the main strip. Got it working. The camera is making this look super weird. With the strip installed and working properly, we can now put the entire thing back into the housing here. So we're gonna do that by feeding the wires straight through the hole that we drilled and snapping this back in place using the tab. This built out, now we can put it back in place. Did have to modify this housing just a little bit along with the LED board. So they have these little dowels on this housing right here. So all I did was drill the top one out, and where the dowel went through the LED board, I just drilled it out just a little bit bigger. They didn't have any part of the actual circuit board running right there, so it doesn't cause any issues whenever you turn on the LEDs. I checked. So all I'm gonna do is run these wires through the center hole, just like that. And then we're gonna bolt everything back up. So this right here is the input to the top LED panel. These are going to be the inputs to the bottom. We have it daisy chained going from the top to the bottom. And there we go. That is working like it should. So now it's time to start the final assembly on these things. Got this fully assembled. I've started to do the plastic welding. I've got to do the silicone on it still, but you can look at this. It is so sick. It looks so good. And the regular red LEDs do still work, which is amazing. I love to be able to incorporate the OEM brakes so that these are properly usable lights. Connectors are all wired in. This is one side. I've got the 3 adjustable wires going into the taillight. This blue wire right here is for the turn signal. This side has the 3 addressables on this connector, and then a separate connector for the turn signal and the parking light. For the blueghozt module, you only need a single parking light input. So that's why we only have 1 wire as opposed to 1 wire over here and 1 wire over here going into the blueghozt module for the parking light, because it will output to the addressables for the parking light itself. So that is completely taken care of. The reason I do 2 different connectors is so that it is easier for the customer to plug them in. I don't have to try and label them at all. It's just the 4 pin goes over here and the 2 3 pins go over here. These are different connectors here, so these can't even be plugged in wrong. Now I actually have to wire up the blueghozt module itself. I have a full how-to video on this, so if you want to learn more detail about it, you can go watch that. This is just going to be a quick time lapse of us wiring it up. Module is now completely wired up, so just wanted to give you a quick run through of what we got here. Just a blueghozt module, all the wires going into it, fully potted, so it is waterproof. This is a 12 to 5 volt converter. I specifically tried to get the one with the higher amps, so this is a 10 amp max. It's got an inline fuse with our eyelets for the battery. Very long run of wire. I have to do that for the trucks so that they can actually reach to the battery. Then we have our connectors like I showed you before on either side, and they are plugged in with our turn signal wires hanging out so that he can tap into that. And now we're just testing to make sure that everything is still working. Everything looks great, and they've been running for a while, so this is awesome. Can finally wrap up this video and ship these taillights out.